Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, and my greetings to all non-Muslims who may be watching this video, inshallah. Now, the discussion of this video is going to be, hopefully, inshallah, an answer to the question that many non-Muslims ask, and to my surprise also some Muslims they do ask, and that is, where was Allah Azza wa Jal, God, before He created the universe, and where is He now? Notice that I put emphasis on the word where and before. Now I have a point, I will come to that. Now, this video is mostly for Muslim audience. As I already mentioned, inshallah the non-Muslim also benefit, and again I repeat myself that I do strongly encourage them to watch it entirely. Okay, then let's start, shall we? I'm going to give a short lecture in mathematics. Now please bear with me. It is related to the concept, and be patient. So I start with point. Point has no dimension. This is not axiom, and this is not postulate, it's not definition. But everything in mathematics that we know of, 1D, 2D, or 3D, are made out of points. So infinitely many of them, they do form dimension. Now, one of them is the line, which is number line, as you are familiar with. We call it a number line. There is one-to-one correspondence with all the real numbers and the points on the what? On the line. So that is 1D. Now in 1D, the inhabitants of 1D, they can go east and west, but they cannot go north and south. There is no such a thing as a north and south. I have sketched the geometrical representation of that I will share with you. Now, the second one is 2D. And in 2D, there is more privilege for the inhabitants of 2D. They can go east and west, north and south, but they cannot go up and down. They cannot even imagine what up and down means. Meaning that in the 2D world, if I take something that I live in the 3D, I take something up and put it to the other side, to them is a miracle. They can't imagine, they don't know where it came from. Now, there is, as a matter of fact, a book written in late 19th century by a British, I forgot his name, about the flatland. And he goes through this. And I have noticed also they have made movies. It's a science fiction, and especially for the young, let's say grade school kids, are fantastic to watch it, expands their mind. So he describes how the 2D inhabitants, they cannot imagine or think about 3D, and the same is true with 1D thinking or imagining about 2D. Again, I repeat myself, the building block of all of them, 1D, 2D, and 3D are points. Now, I have the geometry of that. Let me show it for you just for the sake of it. You see, if that is 1D, as you see, the inhabitants can go east or west, but they cannot go north or south. Definitely they cannot go, there is no what, thickness either, they cannot go up and down. So they can't think about any other world to exist in north and south for them. The only world they live in, east and west. Now in 2D, again, as I mentioned, they have more privileges, and that is they can go east and west, north and south, but they do not know what the world will be up and down. And 3D that we live in and the entire universe Allah Azza wa Jal created, when He created the seven heavens, they are all 3D. And in 3D we have infinitely many directions to go. So we are not bounded to left and right, east and west, or what, north and south. Every direction we can go there. That is 3D. Now, let me see the geometry that we have in 2D, the geometry that we call it what? We call it plane geometry. They teach us in high school, and also another name for that is Euclidean geometry. Is a geometry that we can determine the area and the length, let's say, of a geometrical figure. And some figures that they are not. We don't have any formula, any plane geometry formula for them. Like, you know, a figure that looks, a region that looks like 8 or funny looking. The art of calculus, the second part of calculus, which is called the integral calculus, the art of that, it determines precisely what is the area of that region as far as the 2D is concerned. And you can even go further. Anything you give to integral calculus, no matter how funny the subject may look like, by integration we can find the surface area of that and the volume of that. It's a fascinating discovery that, you know, that is credited to Newton and Leibniz. But anyhow, I'm not lecturing any about mathematics or about calculus. Now, let me see, I have a little bit outlined myself so that I don't jump back and forth. Now, in plane geometry, the postulates that work in plane geometry does not apply to other geometries. Like, for example, two distinct points determine a unique line. That's one of the postulates in plane geometry. That is not the case in other geometries. I'm going to come to that. Or, from a point outside a line, one and only one, which means unique, line can be drawn parallel to that line, passing through that point. Again, that is one of the postulates of plane geometry that does not apply to other geometries, which means we have other geometry that through a point outside a line, we can draw more than one line parallel to that. And another one is let's say, the summation of the interior angle of a triangle in a plane geometry is 180 degrees. That is not true, that is not the case in other geometries, which means we have geometry that the summation of the interior angles of a triangle can be more than 180 degrees, and the summation of the interior angle of a triangle can be less than 180 degrees. I will come to that. Now, let me share with you a true story that happened to me. Once I was teaching trigonometry to a gifted senior level high school students that was their last year, and they were going to go for college. They were fascinating students, very intelligent, mashallah, and very disciplined. And I don't know what happened, the subject that I said that I can make or draw a triangle that the summation of the interior angle of that triangle is more than 180 degrees. When I said that, the class was very quiet. They were all looking at me very kind of strange. Their eyes was open, you notice it. And then I'm very friendly with my students, so they can yell at me. Then one of them, with a loud voice, yelled that impossible. And when he said that, the bell rang for the end of the period of the class time, and the student started to go. And that the student who said impossible came to the desk that I was standing, and with his fist, he hit the desk very hard, and he said, impossible, and he left. And then the following class meeting, when he came inside the class, I noticed a smile on his face. So I knew he had the answer. So I didn't ask what the question was, but I just directly told him, where did you get it? Then he said immediately, after he left the class, he went to his physics teacher. And he said to his physics teacher that, I have a weird teacher. I don't know if I should continue staying in his class. Is he teaching me right? Then his physics teacher became curious. He said, hey, what's going on? He said that the teacher says that he can draw a triangle, that the interior, summation of the interior angles of that is more than 180 degrees. Then his physics teacher kind of smiled at him and he said, yes, he can do that. And he did show that. And that goes to the spherical geometry. And then we have another geometry, hyperbolic geometry, that the summation of the interior angle of a triangle is less than 180 degrees. So my point is that when you change the geometry, something that peculiar happened. Even for those students that they were very intelligent, you know, at senior level, they are 18, 19 years old in high school, they are going to go to college. Even to them was strange, they couldn't think outside the plane geometry because that's the only subject they have been, they have been subjected to it, or they have learned from. So they can think about other kind of geometries. Now, the other thing I would like to mention is that, let me see what I have here. I want now to relate the geometry to algebra, the corresponding algebra to the geometry, and see what I can come up with. Let me be more organized to put them here so that I can put them one at a time. Now here, I selected A to be 5 units. Whatever unit you select, inch or centimeter or yard or meter or what have you. And B I selected to be 2, whatever unit to select. So A plus B, which is 5 plus 2, is what? Is 7 units long. Is that right? Now, the algebraic representation of that, as I have written, is A plus B. A plus B. Now, I did select line segment rather than selecting X and Y, because X and Y mostly we are used to as a variable that they can assume different values. And that could go outside our limit, could go further and further. So I am making that, as I said, junior high school level. So I selected line segment rather than a line that goes indefinite for both sides. Okay, now this is, you agree, that is the algebraic representation of that for 1D. Now for 2D, for the same A and B that are constant, will be 7 length and 7 width, so 7 by 7 will be 49. What does that mean? That means a square of 7 by 7, 49 unit. A square we can fit there geometrically. Is that right? Now another way to represent that, A plus B quantity square, don't forget A plus B is 5 plus 2, which is 7. So A plus B quantity square will be 7 by 7. Is that right? But A plus B quantity square algebraically will be A square plus 2ab plus b square. Again, junior high school. They say FOIL it. I dislike that word so much because it's not a mathematical terminology. In reality, it's the wrong way to teach, but the students are used to it, mechanical in a sense. So go ahead, go with what you know, FOIL it so-called. Or you can use Pascal's triangle, or if you are a little bit advanced, you can use binomial expansion. So a square is one piece. 2a square is another 2, makes it 3, plus b square makes it 4. So there are 4 constituents for what? For a plus b quantity square. So here it is. Let me see, I have the algebraic representation of that, excuse me, I have drawn, and I have also shown the geometry of that. So as you can see, this is A, this length is A, and this length is B. In the example I made is 5 and 2, so it's A plus B by A plus B. As you can see from the figure, seeing is believing, is A square, because this is A and this is A, so it's A square, and this is A by B, so that is AB, and this is another A by B, that is AB, so there are 2 of them, you can see that, and that is B by B, which is B square. So they are constituent, which means like this will be, if I can fill up the A by B, excuse me, A plus B by A plus B square by these pieces, which is what? 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. I can put and fill it up. So that is, in other words, geometrical representation of this algebraic formula, or let's call it analytical formula in reality. Okay, now let me take you to 3D, if I may. Do I have 3D? Yes, I do have it, fortunately. And that is when the length is A plus B, and the width is A plus B, and the height is A plus B. So the volume of this figure, geometrical figure, will be 7, the numbers that I selected, will be 7 by 7 by 7, which is 49 times 7. In other words, 49 times 7 unit cube, I can fit into that and fill it up. Now let's see what will be the algebraic formula or corresponding algebraic formula or analytical formula to that, with the same AB as a constant that could really get any other value you want to give to it. Now, the corresponding formula will be A plus B by A plus B by A plus B, which is A plus B quantity cube, which is A cube plus 3A square B plus 3AB square plus B cube. So let's see how many the constituents are. A cube is 1, 3A square B makes it 4, 3AB square makes it 7, and B cube makes it 8. So 8, you know, if I am in the class, as a matter of fact, I don't have no this. Fortunately, we have the technology of computer, and the computer mathematical, it can rotate it and show whatever I'm saying. It shows all the constituents very nicely. It's like 3D. But the best way to do that, as a teacher, I make those blocks. 1 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, 1 of this, and put them all together, and you will see for yourself that they fill up, they make a perfect what? Perfect cube. So I have geometrical representation for algebraic representation of A plus B to the power of 3. So I can present geometrically the constituent of that. Now comes the moment of truth. Lo and behold, I know what the algebraic representation or analytical representation of A plus B to the 4 will be. You follow me? I know algebraic representation of A plus B to the power of 4 is a junior high school mathematics. You can write A plus B quantity square, another A plus B quantity square, distributive law of multiplication over addition, or so-called POILIT, and find the formula, or use triangle, Pascal's triangle, or if you are a little bit more advanced, use binomial expansion, as I already mentioned. So we know algebraic formula for that. I didn't write it purposely because it's too elementary. Remember what I said, it's too elementary. Now, I repeat myself, comes the moment of truth. Now, I mentioned few names of famous mathematicians. I'm not praising any of them, all praise is to Allah Azza wa Jal, but they're all very gifted, so-called genius. Allah Azza wa Jal gave them that ability. On the top of my list is Euler. Go and bring Euler. Go and bring Gauss. Go and bring Galois. Go and bring Cauchy. Go and bring Newton, Isaac Newton. Go and bring Leibniz. All famous genius mathematicians, go and bring them all here and ask each of them what is the algebraic representation of A plus B to the power of 4. They cannot do that. Come on, man. This is a junior high school mathematics. Shame on you, excuse me. You can give me the geometrical representation of A plus B to the power of 4 that I gave you, all of them. I gave you the geometrical representation of a point by putting a little dot on the paper or on the board with a chalk. I said that represents a point. I am happy, I'm satisfied. A line, I draw a line segment and put an arrowhead to both sides of that, meaning it goes for left hand side indefinitely. That is a geometrical representation of a line. I'm satisfied. And I did for 2D, as I already represented, I draw a parallelogram and show that this is a plane, this is the representation of what plane geometry. I'm satisfied. All right. I went to 3D and I draw the picture for you. I still have it here. So I can draw the geometrical representation of what? Of 3D. I can find for you the surface area. I can find for you the volume of any 3D. All of them I could do that. And I have algebraic representation of that. All I'm asking to give me the geometrical representation of A plus B. They cannot do that. Isaac Newton, Leibniz, the inventors of calculus, they couldn't do that. Surprising, isn't that? It's a junior high school mathematics. Now, something I want to say only Allah Azza wa Jal can do is that all the scientists from the history of mankind, from the time that the man put his feet on the ground, on earth until now, all the scientists, Allah Azza wa Jal, not just mathematics, physics, chemistry, geology, you name it, and put all the knowledge of them in the head of one person. Very easy for Allah Azza wa Jal. Kun fayakun. So there is a person who has the knowledge of all of them combined. Ask him, give me the geometrical representation, the constituent of that, of what A plus B to the power of 4. He cannot do that. Isn't that interesting? Now, what is the point of all of this going through is that when you say, now going back to the question that we raised, that was where was Allah Azza wa Jal before creation of universe? When you say where, you are giving dimension. Where means dimension, vocabulary. And when you say before, you are giving the dimension of time. Where when Allah Azza wa Jal created the seven universe, there was no 3D. There was no where, so-called. And there was no what before, because before means time. So space and time is what Allah Azza wa Jal brought to the existence. There was none before. All right? No, the subject is that there are two groups in Islam that they have they think they have answer for this question. Where is Allah Azza wa Jal? One group, they said that Allah Azza wa Jal is everywhere. Let's see if they are right. If they are not right, I politely ask them to take it out of their mind and heart and do not propagate and say it to any other person. If you have been persuaded that you are wrong by saying that Allah Azza wa Jal is everywhere. Now, I was in Mexico doing some dental work, very mistake I made, and I was kidnapped. By who? By cartel and mafia. So I was taken to prostitution house. That's what cartel and the mafia are active. That's their home in reality. No, they put it in a room, and you know what prostitution place is? Whorehouse. Is the bathroom of the town. Is much dirtier than bathroom in our house. Is where all the diseases, gonorrhea disease and syphilis and AIDS, all of them comes from that place. And again, I repeat myself, it's the dirtiest place you can ever think of. No, for those that they say Allah Azza wa Jal is everywhere. Question, is Allah Azza wa Jal in that whorehouse? Does His Majesty take him in that whorehouse? Isn't that blasphemy in a reality? Allah Azza wa Jal, the most mutatahhir, who loves mutatahhir and He hates khabith, is in a place of khabith? Think about it. No, Allah Azza wa Jal says in Quran explicitly that He is closer than the jugular vein to me. No, I'm in whorehouse. Is that right? Can I communicate with Allah Azza wa Jal? Yes. Does Allah Azza wa Jal knows where I am? Yes. Can I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help me, to save me, to rescue me from that bad place? Yes. Allah Azza wa Jal is not there, but Allah Azza wa Jal knows where I am, what I need, and 100% for those that they are His followers and believers, He helps. Is that right? No. On the other hand, if Allah Azza wa Jal is everywhere, then Allah Azza wa Jal is located in a space. So the space that contains Allah Azza wa Jal is bigger than Allah Azza wa Jal, because Allah Azza wa Jal is inside that. You say Allah is everywhere. If this is the case, then the space that contains Allah Azza wa Jal is bigger than Allah Azza wa Jal. So that is God in reality, as far as the concept of being the biggest one, the most majestic one. So that is God. The space will be God that contains Allah Azza wa Jal. Now we go to the second group. The second group, they say that Allah Azza wa Jal is in His Arsh. So when He created the seven universes in 6 days, then he went to His Arsh. That means that Allah Azza wa Jal is laying down in His Arsh and resting and ruling the world. May Allah forgive me to say that in reality is blasphemy to even think about it. Now let's answer those group. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is what I said, the subject is for the Muslim because they do have that belief. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his trip of night to the seven heavens, finally Allah Azza wa Jal invited him to his arsh. And no creation of Allah Azza wa Jal has ever put his feet on the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal has surface, because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was standing there. And Aisha, his beloved wife, once asked him, "O Rasulullah, did you see Allah Azza wa Jal when you were in his arsh?" He said, "There was so much light I couldn't see anything." But anyhow, he is on his arsh. That means what? That means arsh is also 3D as a surface. He was standing there. Is that right? So if Allah Azza wa Jal is in his arsh, again, with respect to the same analogy I just used a few minutes ago, the space that contains Allah Azza wa Jal, including his arsh, is bigger than Allah Azza wa Jal, because it's containing Allah Azza wa Jal and it's containing his arsh. I'm going to come to the subject of arsh. So then that is God. In other words, Allah Azza wa Jal is not on his arsh, or in his arsh. Common sense, huh? Hopefully the logic persuades you. Now, we go back to the same question. Where is Allah Azza wa Jal? Now, the answer again is in Quran. One of them is that, Allah Azza wa Jal communicates with us with the word that we know, the word that He has taught us. He says in Quran also, He taught man. And He said, by the way, when He said He gave the name of the thing that man knew and angels didn't know, name doesn't mean this is tree and this is light. That's what my brother Mekki said that in one of his videos, YouTube. I was kind of surprised. The name is not that this is a tree and this is a chair and this is that. He gave all the name of them so that the man, our father, knows that. Name means definition. And definition is the character. So he is giving a lot of information when he gives the name of that. That name has so many property of that object. So it's a lot of, in other words, science is involved. So man, our father Adam, he knew much by Allah Azza wa Jal's will, and He taught him that all the malaikas combine. They couldn't answer. Allah Azza wa Jal asked them questions they couldn't answer. So man knows more than angels of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, but anyhow, going back to the subject of if Allah Azza wa Jal is there, then the one of the things that, again, I lost my point. Allah Azza wa Jal communicates with us with the vocabularies that we know. Is that right? As I already said, He taught our father Adam the vocabularies. And the dictionary that we have, the number of vocabularies, regular dictionary is maybe 1,000. A little bigger one is 10,000. 10,000 is a big number. Now let's exaggerate and say there are 100,000 words in there. It still is a finite, a small number, isn't that? No. Allah Azza wa Jal communicates with those vocabularies that we know of to describe. One of them is Ayatul Kursi. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Quran that His Kursi is from earth to the seven heavens. Can you imagine how big that Kursi can be? The first heaven that our galaxy belongs to, that the scientists call it universe, and they haven't found the end part of it. They use the radio and the X-ray, and they have gone billions of light years away, and each time they discover more and more galaxies, and they have mapped it, and they have not yet found the end part of it. You see how vast is our own universe. They call it universe, but the first heaven. And this first heaven that our galaxy belongs to is the smallest of the other six. And one is larger than the other one. You go crazy to think about it. Mind-blowing. And the point is that the kursi of Allah Azza wa Jal being from here to the seven heavens is bigger than all the seven universes that we know. Now, kursi means what? Means throne, that the king sit. So Allah Azza wa Jal does not sit, does not rest, because as I already mentioned, there is no space. If there is a space that Allah Azza wa Jal is inside that, then the Creator is inside His creation and the logic doesn't accept it. And number two, if there is inside, then whatever is containing Allah Azza wa Jal is bigger than Allah Azza wa Jal. So that should be God in reality. You follow me so far? No, listen carefully. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the kursi of Allah Azza wa Jal, I already said how big it is, we can even imagine, is like a ring in your finger in the sand of the desert. In another word, is a drop in the ocean, and the ocean to be what? To be the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. So how big is the arsh? If the kursi is that big, how big is the arsh? I don't know. Outside our number system. Outside our number system. We cannot even imagine about how big it will be. But the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal is creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah Azza wa Jal, wherever He is, I'm going to come to that, He has a He calls it Rabbul Arsh al-Azim. Rabbul Arsh al-Azim. So Allah Azza wa Jal using the word Azim, that means a lot. And He only used it for Arsh. Rabbul Arsh al-Azim. So the Arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal is 3D, and Allah Azza wa Jal enjoys seeing that. And below the Arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal is the seven heavens, the seven universes. And the closest to the Arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal is Firdaus of Jannat. Inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jal honor all the believers, practical Muslims, to be honored with that. Are you with me? Now, the other thing to say is that, again, as a metaphor, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the day of resurrection, he asked, Allah Azza wa Jal asked Jahannam, have you been filled? Jahannam says, send more. Ya Rab. Then Allah Azza wa Jal asks again, have you been filled? The Jahannam again says, Rabbul Arsh al-Azim, send more. Then Allah Azza wa Jal put His feet and the Jahannam will be squeezed. No, Jahannam is being tortured in reality. And it started to yell, bas, enough, Ya Allah, don't say no more, I'm filled. It's in the book of the Hadith. Now, when it says Allah Azza wa Jal put His feet, doesn't mean Allah Azza wa Jal has the feet like us. It is a metaphor because of our small vocabularies that we have to communicate with Allah, with Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal to communicate with us, either in His Quran or through His Rasul. So that is, again, I repeat myself, that is a metaphor. So if that wasn't feet, if Allah Azza wa Jal push, then you will ask Allah, the question will ask, what do you mean push? Well, it's Allah Azza wa Jal who pushes that. Always question comes. Now, one advice I have for all my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam is that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave an advice to us. He said, don't ask too many questions. The children of Israel asked many questions and they went wrong direction. They deviated. No, the Ashab of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were fascinating collection of people. May Allah Azza wa Jal honor us to be one of them. And that was, whenever Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something, they said, Samena wa atana. And whenever Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asks them a question, they say Allah Azza wa Jal and His Rasul knows the best. They never question anything. You follow me? And that is exactly what we should follow. Where is Allah Azza wa Jal? Where was Allah Azza wa Jal? They are the temptation and talk of shaitan to deviate you and distract you from the proper road of Islam, and it may also displease Allah Azza wa Jal, and His nusrat goes away. Because in reality, Jannat is the favor of Allah Azza wa Jal. As one of the hadiths is that one of the people from the Muhajir, he died on the way or something happened, and one of the wife of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that definitely he is in Jannah, he's in Firdaus, he's in Jannah. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked her, how do you know? He said, oh Rasulullah, whom else? He left his property, he left his home, he left everything in Mecca and take the hard journey to come to Medina to join you, and on the way passed away. Whom else deserved to be in Jannah? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I also wish him Jannah, but I am the Rasul of Allah Azza wa Jal, and I am not sure I go to Jannah except by the favor of Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning that the salat was supposed to be 50 times a day. If you do that, every 20 minutes you make salat for Allah Azza wa Jal, is not sufficient to take you to Jannah. So going to Jannah is a favor of Allah Azza wa Jal. He favored us, as He favored us with Laylatul Qadr. And the Jahannam of Allah Azza wa Jal is His justice. Is His justice. So Allah forbid, inshallah none of us will be there, but if I am there, I sit in the corner and cry and I say, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I am subject to your justice. I deserve to be here. I've done this and this bad, and I deserve to be here. So again, I repeat myself, Jannat of Allah Azza wa Jal is His favor, Jahannam of Allah Azza wa Jal is His justice. So whoever is in Jahannam, the justice have been employed on him. He or she deserve it. Because Allah Azza wa Jal saved us so many times. A lot of hadiths. For one good you do, you get 10. For one bad you do, you get 1, and subject to forgiveness. So many places in Quran has been mentioned. Okay, then, one other thing that I would like to mention, when Allah Azza wa Jal created Jahannam and Jannat, you know that He sent Jibreel to go to Jannah. And you know how Jibreel is so himself so unusually beautiful. And he is not like human being. He doesn't have the attribute and the emotion of human being. And he couldn't believe what he saw. What did he say? He said, no imagination can imagine it. No imagination can imagine it. And look who is saying that. He has seen things that we cannot imagine. And he was so impressed. No imagination can imagine it. Now the Jannah is a 3D. And he said no imagination can imagine it. So how can we ever imagine how Allah looks like or where Allah Azza wa Jal is? No, where Allah Azza wa Jal is also has mentioned in Quran. It's not the Ashab of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam they asked that question. They were fascinating people, as I already mentioned. The people before and the kuffar and the mushrikeen, they are asking this kind of question. And Allah Azza wa Jal answered to many parts of the Quran about Himself. As I already mentioned some of them. Ayatul Kursi is one of them. Qul huwallahu ahad is another one. Many of them. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions about Him, the question they ask. So, where is Allah Azza wa Jal is outside our dimension. We cannot think. The 1D could not think about 2D. The 2D, they could not think about 3D. And we are a 3D, we cannot. We cannot think about other dimension. And Allah Azza wa Jal is free of any dimension. So where is Allah Azza wa Jal? In Quran mentions that He's above His arsh. He's above His arsh. Where is above His arsh? I don't know. It does not concern me. If asking too many questions can put me in difficulty, like American expression that the curiosity killed the cat, I can be in bigger trouble. What benefit am I getting from that? No, I am saying because Quran answers that. I am saying that because non-Muslims they ask. I am saying that because unfortunately some Muslims also ask. So the answer to all Muslims is what? Is first of all, do not ask. Second one, Quran has already answered that question. He's above His arsh. What dimension we cannot think. Everything else created is 3D. And 3D has infinitely different direction. As I already mentioned. 2D has only 4 direction. East, west, north, south. 1D has only 2 direction. East and west. 3D has infinite different direction. So 3D is very perfect in reality. And the more perfect out of that is Allah Azza wa Jal. Glory be to Him. So let me read about سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. Let me see. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ملك القدس. سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو على كل شيء قدير. وهو له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وهو عليم بذات الصدور. I know it million times I have repeated that one. Alhamdulillah, I say it all in my tahajjud salat. But when you're making video a little bit, you're nervous, and I don't know why, the mental block comes to you. So let me read it one more time now, not to make any kind of mistake through the Quran. And that is, سَبَّحَ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو معكم أينما كنتم والله بما تعملون بصير. له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وهو عليم بذات الصدور. This great honor, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is closer than the jugular vein to me. I cannot go, it's impossible to go and see President of the United States. You say it is a joke, you know that. And in a second you can contact with Allah Azza wa Jal. And less than a second he respond to your request. Always. If you don't get response, there is reason. Maybe it's beneficial for you. If what you are asking you don't get it. Alright then, I thank you very much for watching. Inshallah, that was beneficially. And inshallah, the non-Muslims also, they think about the concept of God in Islam. And in next video, I try to make a video about the concept of God in Christianity, not as a point, please do not take me or any other one that they give the advice in Islam, but as a point of love and concern. Because the Christian, Jews, or non-Muslim, all of them are brothers. Because in reality, if you are from same father and mother. So when they give, we call it dawah, when they give advice to others about the religion of Islam and concept of God, it's because we are concerned about you, all non-Muslims. Because according to the Islam, no other religion beside Islam is going to be accepted when we face Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is a threat, that is very scary. What about if that comes out to be true? So your responsibility is to investigate, not to argue, but to investigate who is right and ask questions and put it in analytical balance. And you are responsible for what? For your destiny. And again, I repeat myself, no other religion beside Islam is accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal, and all sins are subject to forgiveness except shirk, which means you make partner to Allah Azza wa Jal. So I thank you for watching, and I wish you all prosperity and good health. And Assalamu alaikum to my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam. And again, my greetings to all non-Muslim, and so long.